Hey there, I just wanted to, and this is take one, so this probably isn't going to be all that good, but it's alright. It'll give me something to remember and kind of build off of. I was thinking about this earlier today, my philosophy of teaching. Um, okay, suppose you have instructor A, and instructor A says, do as I say, not as I do. And then you've got instructor B, and instructor B says, watch me and do what I do. Okay, which of those two instructors do you want to learn from? I don't know about you, but personally, I would take instructor B. I want somebody that leads by example. And so I can just watch them, I can watch what they're doing, I can listen to what they say, and then I can just imitate them and build from that. You know, go on and make the process my own. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to edit this, but that's okay. I'll go back and look at this again later and go back over it. Something else I was thinking about, the instructor. Okay, my job as an instructor, what am I supposed to be doing? Just telling people what to do? And I guess that's what a lot of people think. You know, they're just going to come into the classroom and say, look, you know, here's what you're supposed to think. And I don't really like that. As an instructor, my philosophy is more like, okay, I'm going to show you some information. I'm going to point you to some books. And what you do with that information really is up to you. And if if you don't believe the things I say, I got no problem with that. Now, if you say, look, you know, this peer-reviewed textbook that you've got here that a lot of people have studied and agree that this is good information, if you disagree with the textbook, then I can't really help you at that point. You just need to go on and do your own thing. Don't worry about any education. You've already got all the education you need. You know more than the people that wrote the textbook. So what the heck are you even doing here? You know, why don't you go start your own school? Because you obviously have got some superior knowledge to anything that we've got going on around here. So yeah, I'm going to show you, but I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm just going to present you some information, and I can tell you, you know, what I think about it if you want to know. That's no problem at all. But I don't want to try to I don't want to tell you how to react to the things you see or the things that you learn. That needs to come from you. So the other thing I wanted to say, and I'm going ahead and putting this down on this video because I don't want to forget it, and I probably really need to write this down. Okay, I started teaching back in 2004, right out of school. I didn't really know too much about what I was doing, but you know, I learned quickly. Now, but here's the thing. If you imagine, and I need to come up with a graphic for this, if you imagine education like learning how to do anything, English, sociology, math, whatever, imagining this as a journey, and it's akin to climbing a mountain. So we're going to go up this mountain together. Now, I've been to the top of the mountain. I've seen the view from up there. You haven't been there yet. You've got an imagination, an imaginary picture of what it might be like to stand on top of that mountain, but until you've experienced it for yourself, you don't really know. And I think this is where a lot of students fall down. You know, they think that because they can imagine being on a mountain, that's the same thing as surmounting that peak. And it's not. Because along the way, what you didn't see, when you looked at the picture of somebody standing on the mountain and they're laughing and grinning and having a good old time, what you didn't see was them struggling, you know, and sleeping in a tent with the wind whipping and it's 50 below zero and they're trying to stay warm and not freeze to death. And you also didn't see it whenever they were climbing up, they were scaling an icy cliff, you know, and they darn near fell and got killed. You know, it was a miracle that they ever made it up there in the first place. See, you didn't see any of that. And you haven't experienced any of that yet. You haven't been up that icy glacier. You know, you haven't nearly fallen into a crevasse. Maybe somebody did fall in and their buddies had a rope tied to them and they pulled them back out. So, yeah, what do you really know? Not much. So go trust your guides. You know, as an instructor, I'm your guide. Think of me as like one of those Sherpas that lead people up Mount Everest. Now, just 'cause you just rolled into town, you paid your $100,000, you got your fancy boots and your fancy jacket, and you got all this nice North Face equipment or whatever, you know, and you've got all this gear and you're ready to rock and roll. You hadn't done anything yet. All you've done is just fork over a bunch of money. The Sherpa, the grizzled old dude that's there, you know, with his worn out boots and his old snowshoes and his climbing irons that have rust all over them, that dude's been up the mountain more times than he probably cares to remember. More times than you ever will over the course of your life. I'd advise you to trust that man. If he tells you to stay on the trail, stay on the trail. If he says, step where I step, you know, I'd probably do that if I was you. Absolutely. Trust your guide. Otherwise, why the heck did you hire the dude? You know, you've paid me a bunch of money to be in my classroom. How are you going to come in there after you paid me money and then ignore the things that I'm trying to tell you? You know, I'm not trying to get you killed. I'm trying to get you to the top of that mountain. And if you let me, I'll help you. And another thing I wanted to mention, when we are sitting at base camp, right, and I've got like 18 people that are wanting to climb this mountain, and they're all, you know, getting ready to go, there might be some people in that group that I'm seriously questioning their capabilities. I'm looking at them, and you know, yeah, they've got all the equipment, you know, they've got all their gear bought, they've got their boots on, and they got their crampons, but I don't think they're going to make it. Okay, so what do we do? As instructors, you know, do we just go ahead and depart and start heading on up the mountain? You know, here we go. I guess, you know, we can try to, yeah, this is the whole purpose behind, boy, this is really a good analogy. I need to write this stuff down. This is a good analogy for our skills assessment, because when we bring people into the skills assessment, we have like 26, 28 people, right? And out of that 28 people, which ones do we think can make it to the top of the mountain? Seriously. Now, maybe some of them, you know, they're stronger than others, and we know that there's some people that we're going to take with us on this adventure, and they're going to wind up needing to be pulled part of the way. You know, we're going to definitely make sure they've got ropes tied around their waist. We don't want them falling off. But then there's other people that, you know, along the way, if they're constantly stepping off the trail, if they're constantly falling into ravines, constantly getting themselves in trouble, and they're just getting weaker and weaker as we go along, well, at some point in time, we need to look at that person and say, you've got to return to base camp. Okay, you've got to go back down the mountain because you're not making it. So you need to go down, return to the base camp, and figure out some other way. You need to go home and reevaluate things. You know, maybe next season, maybe you go home, you work out, and next season you're stronger and you come back and you try it again. That certainly is a thing that can happen. But for right now, you know, you're not making it. You're going to fail. All right, I got to go to class. It's almost that time once again. So, yeah, I need to video this and I need to write this down. This is too good of stuff to pass up. This is philosophical. Now listen up. This is philosophical. Mud grips, white tip, cigar sticking out of my face, Earnhardt racing sticker on the wind, a banged up fender, 4x4 straight pipe roar, primer and rust all over the door, scarred up knuckles, Mac belt buckle, white t-shirt, ain't afraid to work. I should be a TikTok star.